Welcome back, Lenz Movie Reviews. This is episode number 55, and this we're reviewing Dredd, a film that came out 5 years ago. Yep, I watched it like about a couple months ago. I have a pretty good fresh memory of this film. One of the reasons I'm reviewing now, and this is a very good reason, not just because I watched it recently, and of course the fact that it was 5 years old, but because this year is the 40th anniversary of the first appearance of Judge Joseph Dredd. First appeared in 2000 AD, number 2. I know I've never read the issue, but yeah. Let's talk about the film Dredd. One thing, this is kind of like a it's like kind of like a second adaptation of the Judge Dredd comic book. Now, like the first version of Judge Dredd, where it's actually an adaptation of like a few different storylines, this one actually is the original story with taking some nods to other stories. Like, there's a character here who has cybernetic eyes. I heard that's from a guy called Oliver Hopper, I think his name is. Yeah, that's actually out to an old Judge Dredd story from the 1980s, where Dredd himself actually got his eyes replaced because of a virus, and he had to get new eyes. Okay. And plus also, the outfit itself is, well, similar to that of how he looks in the comic, except that he still has the gold eagle on his shoulder. He still has that, but it's not like the big bulky shoulder pads that he's known for wearing. The helmet is a great look for him. But the people who made the helmet did a fantastic job sticking very close to the original material about the helmet looks. And also, you gotta praise the fact that Carl Urban, the guy who plays Judge Joseph Dredd, he actually keeps his helmet on the whole movie. Unlike in the Judge Dredd film in the 90s, where Sylvester Stallone took it off after 15 minutes. You do see him unmasked. You don't see his face, you see him put it on. At the start of the film, we first see him, and the helmet stays on. It never comes off. I have heard from a documentary on this particular DVD that Carl Urban is a big fan of Judge Dredd. He's a fan of the character, at least he knows how to play him, and he did a fantastic job playing him in this movie. Now the story is that him and what's her name? Him and his new partner, who's actually a mutant. What is her name? I have to look her up here. Her name is Cassandra Anderson, and I gotta praise the fact that some actually got this character done correctly. Now, as far as I can tell, this is the first time the character's been featured outside of the actual comic itself in live action, and if you ever see her in the comic, she never wears a helmet, and there's a very good reason for that. Heck, the film gives a very good reason for it because it interferes with her psychic abilities. Perfect! That's fine. No problem at all. Now, Dredd himself is called... Now, Mega City 1 actually looks different than it does. Now, this interpretation of Mega City 1 from the 1990s movie, that one basically was heavily inspired by Blade Runner. This one, the blocks, as it were, the Mega City blocks, are actually these 200-story skyscrapers. No, seriously, 200-story skyscrapers. And it's semi-based and realistic. It's semi-realistic, semi-reality based with a whole heavy emphasis on violence, stuff like that. Which is fine, because Dredd himself is noteworthy for that. Oddly enough, there's no mention of Cursed Earth. And the whole film takes place in one building. The entire time. The only other building shown in the film is the Department of Justice headquarters, and you do get a chance to see the Chief Justice, who is a woman. Like the fact that in the comics currently, for a second time, the Chief Judge is a woman. Let's see, what is her name? They don't say the name of the film, but it's played by, I think, a black woman. Yeah, I think she's played by a black woman. Who's from Wales. Now in the comics, currently the current Chief Justice is a woman, and it's actually no partner of Dredd's himself. It's a woman with black hair. I have to look up her name here. What is her name? She's the current. His name is Anderson. I'm trying to see here. What is her name? Her name is. I don't think it's Anderson, is it? No, it's not this one. What is her name? She's the current Chief Justice. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Hershey. Yes. Judge Hershey. She's the current Chief Justice in the comics right now. I like the fact that the Chief Justice is a woman. Great job. Now, when this film came out, I looked up basically what storyline was released at the same time this film came out. It was a storyline called the Apocalypse Virus, which wiped out a good portion of Mega City 1's population. That was the storyline released at the time this film's release. Yeah. And there is a comic follow-up. I don't remember exactly how the comic goes because it's been a while since I've read it. The main villain is played by Laura Henley. Gorgeous actress. Heck, she's in her 40s. She's still drop dead gorgeous. She plays a drug kingpin named Mama. And get this, her character, basically her backstory in the film is that she used to be a prostitute, and her pimp sliced her face, and then she took over his business after she killed him, and pretty much took over this entire 200-floor block. Yeah. Oh, and all these blocks, they look all exactly the same on the outside. And because it's a mega city block, they actually have theaters. They actually have an actual theater in this actual building. And they have elevators for every single floor. They have an elevator. They have I think it's 2 elevator shafts. And you can go to different floors. So, and the way it looks in the film, it kind of looks like a giant mall. Yeah, that's what it looks like to me. Excuse me. I have heard this film was shot in South Africa, of all places, in Cape Town. Okay, that's fine. And here's kind of the thing. This film bombed at the box office. You want to know why? From what I've heard, terrible marketing. No, seriously. That is the reason why this film failed. Was it because of bad reviews? No. This film was actually really good. That's why I think the film was violent. And the fact that, Dredd, even though it's a spoiler, Dredd kills Mama by having her inhale her drug and have her drop her 200 stories to the ground. Yeah. Oh, and if you see from the trailer, if you ever see the trailer for the film where she basically has this big, humongous Gatling gun where she fires a bunch of, where she actually fires it. Yeah, she does in fact fire the thing. Yeah, I'm warning you, where the heck did she get this gun? Yeah, because that is something you probably won't find in the streets probably in the future. Especially as the guns like that are probably very, very much illegal. And I'm sure they're very hard to come by. And let's see what else. Oh yeah, and the guy who's got the cybernetic eyes, he's actually a hacker who actually works for Mama. Now, the Justice Department does have their own, how should I put this? Their own dispatch station inside the building. I think it's called Peachtrees. Yeah, the name of this block is called Peachtrees. I'm like, okay, that seems like a really friendly name. And pretty much Dredd and Anderson are actually called to this building because of a triple homicide. Yes, there are 3 bodies, which actually are dead drug dealers, who tried to go against Mama. So first they inhale the slow drug, which puts people in slow motion. And here's the thing: when you first see Laura Haley in the film, the first time you see her, she's in the bathtub and she's butt ass naked, and she's basically on her own drug. I have heard in one film it's a bad idea to take your own product. You know what film that was? Scarface, the Al Pacino version. Yep, that is where I heard that phrase from, and for some reason she likes having it. One thing kind of good about this film is that despite the fact it's rated R, surprisingly, even though there's 2 female characters in this movie, like Mama and Anderson, actually also the Chief Justice, none of them show any skin. I mean, you don't see them in nude. You don't see Mama in nude. Not at all. Despite the fact Laura Haley is a drop-dead gorgeous actress. I think she has shown, I think she did get a chance to see her in nude in the film 300, but not in this film. Nope, not in this film at all. You do see her naked, but you don't see her like a full frontal nudity thing. Probably something in her contract, basically, says she couldn't do any nudity. Yeah. Also, they threw in the whole thing of this is actually something else they threw in, like a little nod to another storyline, where there's these group of 5 judges who are on the take, and they offered 1 million credits to kill Dredd. No, seriously, 1 million credits. They were thinking, okay, make a city one supposed to be set in the United States. Why do you use credits? It's the future. A lot of the time with these futuristic films, they switch out American dollars for credits. Star Trek does the same thing, where they use credits. That's actually the actual currency that they use. So it's nothing unusual for futuristic movies to use credits. It's perfectly fine. Yeah, and Dredd himself takes out all of the crooked judges. I think Anderson takes out one of them. I think most of them are taken out by Dredd himself. Mm-hmm. And I gotta praise Urban basically for basically, even though he's walking around this helmet most of the time, he does a great job doing it. And one thing also I think a lot of people probably thought was really neat is even though yes he can switch between different rounds, uh, he doesn't exactly talk to his gun that much. In the case of the original film, yeah, he did it several times. Yeah, Sloan does sometimes like switch between various different rounds. This one he doesn't. No. My friend Tivia loves this movie, and he has seen the film, and he really wants to basically see a sequel to this very film. I do too. I finally got a chance to sit down and watch it, and I watched it. I sat down and watched it, and I loved it. I thought it was a really good movie. One thing that still kind of bothers me, there's actually a type of slang that Dredd uses constantly. Some of all the characters in the comic basically use this. Like there's this word "drock." Dredd himself never says in this whole movie, never. Not even the Sylvester Stallone version. The word does pop up on the back of someone's jacket. Apparently, there's this Drock gang, and that's actually the first time we see Dredd out in the field, where he is taking out like this small minivan, which has like a few drug dealers in it. Which I think it's drug dealers. I don't know which one it is, and they don't show the cubes per se. They mention the whole thing of basically being sent to these cubes, but yeah. And because here's kind of the thing about judges, they're allowed to execute people on the spot based upon whatever sentence they give. That's just basically how they are, based on whatever charge basically is. If for attempted murder of a judge, that's execution on the spot. Yeah, that's how it normally works for these things. And from what I've heard about this particular film, now I've heard John Wagner, the creator of Dredd himself, he hated the Sylvester Stallone version, but he loved this version. Yep. And I also heard something that in the comic, basically, the whole thing of Dredd keeping his helmet on, and Wagner didn't like that at first, but he was forced to go along with it because they were told him to. Yeah, it's mentioned here in this documentary. And here's something really interesting about the documentary in here, and this is something I really wish DVDs would have nowadays. This DVD has basically various different featurettes, like this whole thing about like the backstory of Dredd himself, of how he was created in the comics, where it basically talks to very much the artist behind Dredd himself. His name is, what is his name? The artist who created Dredd. What's the guy's name? Carlos Equari, I think his name is. Yeah. A lot of the ideas basically known to Dredd's doing, like the whole thing of him keeping his, like him basically never telling us to the public, never take off his helmet in the comics. That was all his idea. Wagner just created a lot of the other stuff basically associated with Dredd. Unlike the situation with Batman, where Bob Kane basically was being a dick and basically trying to have Bill Finger for getting any credit related to Batman. John Wagner is not like that at all. He doesn't mind sharing credit with other people basically come specific characters, like Judge Dredd. Yes. In case you're wondering, does in the comic I'm going to call him Joe? No. As a matter of fact, usually they call him either Judge Dredd or simply Dredd. That's simply how he is. I have heard if they're going to make a sequel to this, that they were going. One sequel they were going to do was they would explore the back history of Mega City 1. Another one was they were going to bring in the Dark Judges, the judges from an alternate universe where they're led by Judge Death. I think that's what they're called. Look it up here. Yeah, they're actually one of the many enemies of Judge Dredd. They are the. Excuse me. Yeah, the Dark Judges. That's what they were going to do. I really hope. I have also heard there's going to be a Netflix series. I've heard about that too. And Urban is going to reprise his role as, well, Judge Dredd. I wouldn't mind it. As a matter of fact, first comic book based character he's ever played. I mean, some people probably think that him as the Executioner is the first comic book based character he's ever played. This one beats it by at least 5 years. Yep. So, the Executioner is the second comic book based character he's ever played. Good job. And it'll be the third known character he's ever played in the movies. Because when you think of Carl Urban now, you think of this, Dr. Leonard McCoy from the J.J. Abrams reboot films, reboot Star Trek films, and Scourge the Executioner. Yep. For this film, I give this 9 out of 10. It's a great movie to watch. If you're a fan of Judge Dredd, you will love this movie. Even though the first one was kind of cheesy, this one was much more serious, but it's enjoyable. Even though, it's violent per se, but it's good violent. Yep. Good job. And the director, as far as I could tell, the director, now the people behind this film, they did a great job with this film. They were fans of the comic, and that's one thing always really enjoyable when it comes to movies like this, where fans of the comic, even though they're trying to make a good movie, they also want to please not only casual moviegoers, excuse me, but also people who are fans of the comic. As me, someone who's a fan of the comic book, fan of the character Judge Dredd, this film was good. It satisfied me. Made me happy. 9 out of 10. Alright, that's it for this episode. Stay tuned when I get a chance to do episode 56. I am not really sure exactly what we're doing on yet. I'll find some other movie to review, but hey, got another movie review done. Last one I did was just a couple days ago. Okay? But until I see you all in my next video, probably in their comic corner. Probably coming tomorrow. Okay? But until then, I will see you there. Bye.